Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. Welcome, everybody. So what happens when you take 35 years of electrical expertise, mix it with over 200,000 square feet of prefab manufacturing, and throw in a mission to find a better way? You get more than just power solutions. You get modular magic at its finest. And if you've ever tried coordinating electricians, engineers, and modular manufacturers on a job site and you didn't lose your mind or your wallet during the process, you know it's no small feat. But what if that coordination happened before the truck even left the plant? Today on Dave Cooper Live, we're joined by Ryan Windham, partner integrated manufacturing at Cummings Electrical, a company that's just not meeting demand, but setting the standard with modular electrical rooms, EV charging skids, and e-houses engineered for speed, safety, and precision. Cummings Electrical is one of the largest providers of electrical contracting service in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, with extensive experience in hard bid, design assist, and design build, as well as the integrated project delivery, IPD method. They serve commercial markets ranging from healthcare and renewables to aviation and data centers. But before we get into any or all of that, we got to give a few shout outs. Cobalt Creed, they are a leader and recognized for servicing builders, developers, prefab home builders, and manufacturing, allowing them to achieve the highest levels of comfort, indoor air quality, and low energy costs with their HVA systems installed for their projects and their customers. Their approach is simple. By using their proprietary small duct, high velocity central heating and cooling system. If you want to learn more, go to their website, cobaltcreed.com. And how about a few words from these sponsors as well? Brought to you by Greatech, developers of the complete light gauge steel and wood framing software for Revit StruxSoft. Off-site, modular, or prefabricated, StruxSoft Framer turns Revit into a powerful manufacturing tool, automating every step of the DFMA process from design to final delivery. StruxSoft doesn't just work with Revit, it transforms it. Jumpstart your designs at StruxSoftSolutions.com. Halleck Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, halleckltd.com. All right. Again, a big shout out and thank you to all of our sponsors and supporting members who you see scrolling boss. The bottom of the ticker right there. We love your support. We keep everything live. We keep it unedited. We are bringing the people to you that can help you build it better. You want to do business. You want to connect with the industry leaders that are making a difference in this world. Well, this is how we do it. So we appreciate all and any of your support that's out there. All right. Without further ado, let's bring Ryan onto the show. Ryan, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Dave?
Man, I'm excited, dude. I've been wanting to have you guys on the show forever and ever and ever. And well, here we are. Not in advancing prefab. We're here. Good to see you, Ryan.
Good to see you too.
Listen, Ryan, we ask everybody before we get into the show, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or we're going to bring your partners on the show, and I'm sure that'll get quite embarrassing, but you only have a minute and a half. The floor is yours.
All right, real quick. I'm Ryan Windham. I was born in Fort Worth, Texas. Was lucky enough to move to Montana when I was 8 and spent a rather idyllic childhood in the place where people vacation. Fishing in the creeks, playing golf, hunting in the mountains, and being an all-around mountain deadbeat. Went to the University of Montana for college, have a history degree, which, big plans in the mid-2000s with a history degree. Did not know what I wanted to be when I grew up, so I decided to go be a fishing guide. One day, late September of 2008, I had some clients on the river. Conversations got really weird. And a job was offered for me to move back to Texas, to which I said, there's no way I'm moving back to Texas. Mountains are too good. My office is too pretty. Paycheck's not real good. So after I dumped that guy who offered me the job in the river, it was about 50 degrees. He got real cold, broke the rods. We couldn't fish the rest of the day. I kind of assumed that job offer was gone. And as I dropped him off, I said, is that a real thing? And he said, yeah, it is. Flew me down a month later. In October of 2008, I didn't know anything about what they were doing or what Cummings Electrical was doing. They said, you seem like a smart guy. We can teach you everything you need to know. And I kind of had an outlook that said, it's a job. It's 2008. I should probably take this. My wife and I, we were very recently married. We said, let's move to Texas for a few years, let the Montana economy recover. And here we are 17 years later, still, I guess, waiting for that economy to recover. With Cummings Electrical, I started as a junior estimator, went out to a major data center project that hit the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex in late 2009. Some of us jokingly refer to it as the primordial ooze because we still work with folks that we worked together on that job with years and years ago. One of my partners and the head of engineering for our business unit now, he and I worked together there. Was a project manager on a few other data centers, started a data center service group. I took over as the leader of the Cummings Electrical service group. And in 2020, decided we were going to pour some gas on the fire of integrated manufacturing. We'd kind of been dabbling in it for a long time, but we said, let's go launch this thing and push it hard. So I took the lead on that. And for the last 5 years, through a few different roles, I've been lucky enough to be involved in the growth that we've had here. And so I sit here today with you. Became a partner in Cummings in 2016 or 17. I can't remember. And it's been awesome every day. So really excited to be here. Excited to tell you about what we do. And
listen, I want to talk about fly fishing. You went from fly fishing to manufacturing. I mean, that it must have been pretty darn cold for you to make that decision.
I could have handled it, handled the cold and handled the lifestyle. Like I said, I jokingly refer to myself as a child bride. We were way too young to be doing what we did when we got married, but thankfully I had a wife that pushed me and said, I think we can do bigger and do more. And so that's what pushed me down here, and thank God for it.
Well, listen, we're going to hop into that show on another day. All of the integrated fishing capabilities that come along with you when I'm going back to Montana. But hey, listen, so let's hop into Cummings Electrical. Like, what really did spark the shift from traditional installs to integrated manufacturing and modular prefab? Because it's just not normal to be like, all right, we're just going to start a modular and prefab manufacturing facility for one, and then say, well, we're going to integrate electrical data and smart homes and EV. Walk me through where was the shift at, like internally with you guys, that you decided to go this route?
So the funny thing there, and we've got to do a better job of letting people know about it, is this started even before I did at Cummings. That we jokingly refer to a meeting as the F7 meeting. That was kind of the genesis of prefabrication and modular building for Cummings. And that was when Tim Cummings, the founder, sat in a meeting and through some resistance said, we are going into this space. We're going to do more than prefab and everything else. And it's called the F7 meeting because in one sentence, he dropped the F-bomb 7 times in his direction to the group that he is serious about this and we are going to be serious about this. That meeting was in 2007. I remember my first, when I was at orientation, I saw people walking around with a shirt that had F7 on the sleeve. And that was the beginning. We started just doing prefabrication for our construction group, offsite construction. It started as simple as whips for lighting to prefabricated duct banks. And it just went from there. We started doing modular electrical skids, I think in 2011 or 2012. But again, it was mostly just to support our own internal business. We've been integrating panels and transformers and doing what we would consider traditional prefab to support our own work for so long. And as this data center boom that started over the last 7-8 years got going, we looked and said, we're doing this anyway. Let's look beyond ourselves as a target and as a customer, and let's see what we can do. So we went and said, let's invest some time and some people into it. I got really interested in what we're doing and said, I'd like to take the lead. And then I put a really good team around me, had the support of our partners who allowed some folks to leave their groups, and we got it going. And it's been a whirlwind ever since.
And you haven't made it to any F8 meetings yet?
We have not made F8.
Seven's the max.
Well, I think there's probably been about some F14 meetings, but F7 just sounds so good. We decided we're just going to stick with that.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny, right? Because I know culture is a big deal for you and your team, and that just says it all right there. I mean, you made fun of something that was happening in a meeting, and you made shirts out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's a great thing about Cummings is none of us are above reproach, and definitely none of us are above getting ribbed a little bit up to and including Mr. Cummings.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I love that. Well, let's hop into this a little bit. I know we have a presentation you're going to run through. You got a new manufacturing facility, and I'll show a short video on that and your website and all. But why don't I put this presentation up? Kind of walk us through, what your product is, where you're going with it, and then let's also talk about the culture of what happens with all of this, right? Because there is no great company out there that does not have a great culture, and you guys are just booming and kicking ass, if I can say that live on the show.
That fits well within that F7 culture of ours.
Perfect.
Yeah. So this is a great picture of just what we've got going on in the shop. The biggest thing that we do and eats up most of our floor space and a big piece of our revenue is e-houses. So these are integrated electrical delivery or electrical houses. They include UPS, distribution, batteries, everything else that you need to land on a data center site. We do, like I said, this is the biggest piece of what we do, but there's a little bit more to integrated manufacturing beyond the e-house. I'll just kind of slide through and give you a few different things about the company, and we'll just quickly go through the presentation. I'll put good pictures behind us as we have a conversation.
Excellent.
Love to give you some background. We were founded in 2002 by Tim Cummings and a handful of other employee partners. We're still an employee-owned company. Tim is still the CEO and founding partner. We have 11 employee partners that have equity in the company. We've got 1,200 plus electricians. That number is actually up over 1,300 now. We have 19 engineers on staff. That's both electrical and mechanical. And we need to update this one too. It looks like we're going to do closer to 600 million in revenue this year, which is a huge number, especially considering in 2002 we did 3 million. So a lot of growth over the last 23 years, I guess that is. And maybe the proudest number on this whole thing is we have a 0.29 discounted EMR. Just to remind the folks out there, a 1.0 EMR is the standard. That's the experience modifier rate. For a contractor, that's the standard. That's what you pay your insurance based off of. We are a third of that. We've just gone 6.5 million hours without a lost time injury. And that number is still counting, knock on wood. It's something that we take a ton of pride in as a company, and it's because of the culture. It's because of our focus, and we care so deeply about sending people home safely. A couple more things about what we do. So it's the design, manufacture, install, and service. So we use those 19 engineers that we have on staff. We manufacture in our facility. We can work with either our service or construction team on the installation. And then when we say service, that's both on-site startup, and then we're obviously never going to walk away from a product once it's on the site. We are operating in 28 states today. That's across both all three of our business units and our integrated manufacturing we've delivered throughout North America, and are supporting it in all those locations as well. Gonna try to move fast through the bullet points. I know that everybody can read here, but what we really care about when we're picking a space is we know how to move lean. We aren't super tool dependent, or at least big, expensive, fixed tool dependent. We figured out how to move things around. We're constantly looking for the best and baddest way to get stuff done. We use robots to slide around 100,000 pound enclosures. We use modular cranes, and we use a lot of smarts and know-how. And I like to say that we've paid a lot of tuition on every one of those decisions and investments. We need a high ceiling. We have a pretty unique way of building these things. The way we unstack and restack makes us go really fast, makes us go really clean, and our customers love it. And on top of it, our people love it. And then the biggest thing we need is big old doors. We build big things. We got to push them out a door, and that's what goes into it. But beyond that, we don't need a big custom and super expensive factory. We just need space.
Well, 200,000 square feet is not all that small either.
It's not, but I'm always looking to. I can't wait to talk to you again in a year and say we need 500,000 or 1 million.
Yeah, for sure. I think, one of the things I've recently learned since, we met back at Advancing Prefab was, the biggest issue data centers have right now, especially with growing AI, is power. And where does that power come from? Right. And what I'm hearing is you're providing that power solutions for them.
Yeah, it's a huge piece of what goes on. The growth in that industry, when we kind of got into that 5 years ago, our standard order or RFP size was for 4 units, usually in 1.5 megawatts, maybe a 2 megawatt unit, but it wasn't a huge deal. And that was big. That was what every order came along. And now the phone doesn't ring for less than 30. Most of them are in the 60s. We have conversations with folks that are like, how many can you produce a year? And the numbers are 200 to 300. And sometimes they go, oh, we need more. So it's grown exponentially. So what we've had to do over the last few years is not just deliver the power. We've had to deliver a lot of it. We're in that between state between the utility and the white space, and everything runs through us. So your site, if we're on it, we have to be there. We have to deliver. But you've also got to consider there's going to be sometimes 1,000 electricians on site working, and our job is to make their job easy. The last thing I ever want is to deliver this to somebody that's not us and have them say, oh, we can't install this, we can't work with it. So we think about things from an electrician's perspective and say, how do we make it easy for the guy on site? How do we make it so that we're the last thing they're worried about and the first thing they think about? Say, yeah, these are the guys that we want. These are this is the product that we want on site.
Yeah, and so out of all the products you offer, what is the, I guess, the biggest offering that's happening right now? Like where is the biggest push? Is it for data centers?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just such a huge piece of our market. We jokingly, in turn, somewhat not jokingly, we're like, oh, we're always looking for an opportunity that's not a data center right now. But the market is just so huge and hot, and I mean. I was at the gym the other day, and they had CNBC on, and when those guys, all they're talking about is AI and the data center boom, that we're at a new level, we're in a new world, and so there's a lot of other markets that are going on, or that are hot, but nothing hotter than data centers, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Walk me through why these power stations, so to speak, that you guys are building and can be delivered. Where's the value for the companies on having something that's portable like this?
Yeah. So there's a few different fronts. One, um, all of construction is real estate play. So if we were to take one of these units and say it's a 1.6 megawatt unit and call it a traditional stick build, the way we did things 10 years ago, even that might take up 1,000 square feet. We're building that in about 430 square feet now. So just taking some price per square foot, use whatever metric you want, we're cutting down the utility of your space, of that space that would be, a cost or an overhead expense, whatever you want to call it, back of house expense. And we're now able to dedicate that to the white space and to your tenants, those that they're paying the bills. So there's benefit number one. We get to shrink your footprint and get
Right.
you as a customer to be able to build a building that's for your tenants and not for a bunch of electrical equipment. Number two, we get to build it concurrently as the site is happening. So we're off site, we're moving a ton of hours, we're moving those electricians, we're moving those HVAC workers into a factory environment and getting it as close to single point connection as possible. And then we arrive on site the day that you need it. So a big piece of what happens there is, let's use a 64 unit order that's got 100,000 man hours on it. Well, we're doing that. We can deliver that in about 6 months. So quick math there says that's about 100 guys ish on that are not on your site. They're in our factory. So from a site safety perspective, it's a lot easier. And from a site speed perspective, it's a lot easier. It shows up, crane drops in a site. You've got electricians that hook it up on each end, and then we're off to start up. So we can cut down on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, so, obviously somebody's doing the infrastructure to be able to accept your units. Walk us through how that process works. Are you doing that with your electricians? And are you providing the underground utilities that are coming into that, or at least the connection points for that?
We can go both ways on that. So our construction group would absolutely be the electricians on site doing that work. Typically, it's another contractor completely. Where a lot of times we're getting purchased by the owner directly or through one of their purchasing groups, and they treat it like a piece of equipment, just like they would a generator or transformers or anything else. So we are working with that site team and that design team from really early on to make sure that we're designed structurally and the site is ready from a design and civil perspective to receive our units. And then we will get to the point where we're working directly with the on-site electrician as well to say, hey, the connection point's going to be here. Have you thought about this? We take their feedback as well and say, hey, how do you want it? And then we try to build that relationship really strong as well to make sure that they know that we're looking out for them, because it doesn't do us any good to not look out for the end product. Do
you find yourself having repeat customers?
Absolutely. That's the business that we thrive on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead.
That speaks volume, right? When customers actually come back, because there's no perfect project out there. We all know it, right?
That's right. The best compliment we got was sitting down with one of the owners, and he looked at us and said, you're the last people that we worry about. We consider you a full force multiplier, and you are what we design around. And that's just the highest compliment that you can pay it. Because while that says something about the product, it really means something about the team. Because these guys, they work so hard for the customer to think about what they're doing first and to provide them a product that they need and that they want.
So these units are used for data centers. Let's talk about the other industries as well. I mean, you have healthcare out there, right? Would be another big industry, I would imagine, for you.
Yeah, healthcare was kind of how Cummings Electrical started, and that's what really put us on the map. And that's where we started doing multi-trade integration. First, it started as with just head wall units. We built probably tens of thousands of head wall units that have integrated gas and HVAC and all the electrical and everything else. And that's what made us start thinking a little bit bigger. We've done plenty of electrical rooms. We've done a lot of electrical work, but that's really where our multi-trade thoughts started and saying, look, we can do a whole lot more than just be an electrician. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, keep going on that. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. So before the data center boom, at least in North Texas, was a healthcare boom. It was probably that represented 50 to 60% of our overall revenue. And it's something we took a lot of pride in. The data center world is mission critical. We look at healthcare very similar. This is a complicated work. It's difficult, and obviously there's nothing more critical than human life. So we know how to work inside. We can build them from the ground up, and we can build them fast. We know how to work on the inside and keep them going, or make the changes that need to get it up to code or anything else, or provide the expansion opportunities that are needed. And it's just a huge piece of our business. It doesn't show quite as flashy, because it's nice to show a big e-house and say, this is a big volumetric build and it weighs 100,000 pounds. And there's all sorts of cool stats there, but there's the little really difficult things that we can do on the healthcare side that are hugely helpful as well.
Yeah, for sure. And aviation as well, right? I mean, obviously if power grids go out, you still got to land planes. I'm assuming that's what they're using these for.
A little bit of that. Yeah, we've done a ton on the aviation front. Southwest Airlines has been a customer of ours since before Cummings. And yeah, I mean, keeping planes in the air and keeping airports running is a huge piece of what we do.
Yeah.
When you talk about touching people, there's not much more annoying than having travel go wrong. So we work pretty heavily with that team to make sure that things are going wrong or going right. And you definitely don't want to hear, oh yeah, the electricians went and screwed this up.
Right. Yeah, you definitely don't want to hear that, especially if you're getting on a plane either.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, I was on a tarmac the other day and said, I heard we have a slight electrical problem, and I was just like, well, thankfully it's not us.
Yeah. They close the curtain, all the red lights are going off in the cockpit. Yeah, I've had one of those experiences down in the Caribbean. Love it. So, tell me a little bit about, why the culture is so important at your manufacturing facility, and how does that culture translate to the end user, right? Because what's happening internally is what's happening externally. And I think that's really important for people to understand and know.
Yeah. So culturally, I mean, I'll start big picture with Cummings Electrical. We believe in you get the right person on the bus, and then you find the right seat. And so what that's done for us is the team that we have here at Integrated Manufacturing has come from all sorts of different backgrounds, not just construction. We've got our head of support, which runs so much and keeps the wheels moving. He came from Anderson Windows. He knows the world of manufacturing. We've got folks that have come from the substation world in the utility side. We've got folks that came from chilled water design or water design and chiller systems. So we try to bring people from all sorts of backgrounds, but we try to make sure that they believe in what you're scrolling right there first and foremost. We do need to update that a little bit. We deliver a whole lot more than powerful electrical solutions and services these days, but that's the biggest thing is thinking about what our cause is. Those 4 cornerstones mean a ton to us. It's do the right thing. That means for beyond just ourselves, that's also for our customers and for our coworkers. You talked a little bit earlier about, how do we make this thing work? You said it in your intro. It all goes to have a plan. And that's how this integrated manufacturing works. You can't call me. I wish I could say, call me today and I'll have you a solution tomorrow. But that's just not how it works. We have to get involved super early. You get the whole team involved in getting that plan locked tight so that we can go manufacture the exact solution that you need.
Can you walk me through, what actually goes into producing an e-house, or one of your skids from engineering to delivery? If I'm out here and, I just started my own fresh data centers, my own AI company, and I've grown tremendously large, but I don't have enough electricity for the data center. And I call you, what's my process look like?
Yeah. So, the first thing we're always going to ask about is how much you want. And by how much do you want, it's how big of a site are you going to build? So let's just say you want a 250 megawatt site. Okay. Well, how do you want to, what do you want that topology to look like? Are you going to go in 2 megawatt blocks? Are you going 2.5 megawatt blocks? Are you going 1 megawatt blocks? And that's going to help us determine, what is your UPS size? Are you using UPSs? We just start talking through a little of that technical stuff about how you're going to support the electrical infrastructure for your clients on the white space, because that's really all that matters. What's the density that you're going to build at? Are you looking at 150 watts a foot, or are you looking at what one of the hyperscalers just showed the other day? They have a 1 megawatt rack, or there's design around that. How are we going to cool it? And so there's this litany of questions that we're going to ask about how to get started. And really what we're trying to pin down is, what's the best solution for you? Are we going to build skids? Or are we going to build electrical houses for you? And then, or are we going to go and do a modular white space floor for you that's going to have integrated direct to chip cooling, and it's going to have power to the rack and everything else. And we're going to do it all in our factory and deliver it to you in blocks. All of that kind of goes into the conversation. And the biggest piece right now, and I'm sure a lot of your or a lot of the folks watching are going to go, biggest question is, do you have power? Have you signed up? Do you have a utility that's guaranteeing you that you're going to have the power that you need? Because that opens up a whole new set of questions. But again, once we get kind of through that, then we're going to dedicate a team. We've got a whole block of engineers. We're going to get your engineering team deeply involved with you, your architects, and all the folks on site, and we're going to start building the best possible plan for you. That goes down to scheduling, down to the day. We start doing that really early, so we can understand what your commitments are to your customer and how we're going to deliver it and work it through our factory. We open up what we can do in our factory. We show you our delivery schedules. We invite you in from day one to show you, like, these are your production slots, and then we start planning everything else. We like to do what's called a first of a kind, where we try to build one unit, whatever that unit is, whether it be an e-house, a skid, name it, just name the product, where we're going to come in, try to deliver that early so we can look at it, point at all the things that we want to change, and do that before we start mass production. And then we start delivering it, test it, and get you on site, get your site running.
What's the typical delivery time frame from start to finish? I know it depends a lot on site being ready and all of that, but what are you guys seeing out there? From how early does one have to be involved with you?
So the biggest thing across the market right now is equipment lead time. So when we hear that if you got a medium voltage element and there's GIS gear that's taken 65 weeks for delivery, obviously we're having to start almost 2 years ahead of the build. If you, as a customer, have kind of locked up your own supply chain and have purchased equipment, we can build them as fast as 12 to 16 weeks. Our production time on the floor is typically around 6 weeks per box, and we can take in as many as 32 boxes at a time right now. And when I say a box, it's roughly 13 feet by 50. There's some variation in size there that we can either bump up or go down. But because of lead times across the equipment supply chain right now, we need to be involved pretty early. 12 to 18 months is the easy answer. But obviously that's there's a lot of ways around that.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I mean, the whole idea of what you're doing is to help reduce risk, right? Whether it's healthcare, whether it's aviation, whether it's data centers, multifamily, whatever the case is. So walk me through, like, when you have a hyperscale, or co-located data centers or hospitals, how are you guys helping to reduce their risk of operations?
Yeah. So, I mean, on the data center side, everything's speed to market. So when we say we're going to deliver it, we've got to make sure that we're going to deliver it. Getting a little granular, but it matters is when you're bringing these things on, you've got to bring a huge crane. Those cranes can cost you $75,000 a day, if not more. And if we say you need to have a crane on site on this day, we're going to have our equipment there for you. That being said, once it hits the site, it's got to get plugged in right, and it's got to work. So on the data center side, it's about delivering what we said we're going to deliver and doing it on time, or getting you ahead of schedule. Everything is time and schedule across all the businesses, or all the verticals. Obviously, on the healthcare side, there's a human element that goes even slightly beyond, right? We work with, we've learned to work with the head nurse. We know who runs the hospital. And there might be somebody that is the president of the hospital or the CEO, but that's not who runs the hospital. That head nurse is the one who runs it. And we work with her to say, is this where you want it to be? Because when something goes wrong on the ER, she's got to know that she can run her floor. And you asked about risk. I mean, from a business perspective, time is money, and time goes beyond, yes, our stuff got on site on time. it's also making sure that it works. So that's why we dedicate people on site with you to get through the startup, to make sure that your team knows exactly how this is supposed to work and what it can be, what it's capable of, and even more importantly, what it's not. Making sure that we're, what you expected is what we delivered, and also what we said we delivered is what we said we would deliver is what we did.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me a little bit about shipping and handling on these. How big typically are the boxes?
Yeah, so we've delivered everything from a transformer RMU unit that weighed, let's call it a 10-foot by 10-foot, and it weighed 25,000 pounds because it's a heavy transformer, all the way to 55 feet long, 16 feet wide, and 120,000 pounds because it has a 3,500 kVA transformer inside it. Shipping and logistics is huge. I've got a fun horror story for you. We were driving to lunch one day, a couple partners and we get a phone call, and I get a tap on my shoulder that says, "Hey, you need to turn around." And we drove only about 1.5 miles and saw one of our units sitting on the side of the road, blocking traffic, with a nice little fire in the median. It was middle of summer. It was actually 3 years ago next month, and a chain had broken on the trailer, and our 65,000 pound unit came off, slid 250 yards like a hockey puck, somehow didn't tip over, and started a fire. So we got really, really terrible advertising as our logo just got painted there. As thousands of people drove by going, "Why is my traffic being blocked?" And anyway, we got on the horn really quick. We had cranes on site within an hour. We had it picked up and delivered back to our site. And then we got to play the insurance game, which is a different story for a different day. Right. But it's that critical. We that was a trusted shipping company. We'd used them time and time again, and we had a driver that just used a shackle that wasn't right. So I talked earlier about paying tuition on things. So it's changed the way that we look at things, the way we handle the business side of things from an insurance and a logistics coordination perspective, and all the way to our working with the drivers and the shipping companies to make sure that their equipment meets our standard. We work with them from the beginning. We have our shipping planned out months and months in advance because these big units get really big, and they can be troublesome when you're doing interstate travel. Every state has different regulations. We work with our trucking companies. We work with the local jurisdictions on our permitting to make sure that we're not going to hold anything up, and that our stuff is going to get delivered when we say it is.
So you mentioned that you do deliver, pretty much across the country. Are you in Canada and in any other countries? Are you putting these on barges yet, or?
We have put some on a barge. We delivered 6 units to Iceland a few years ago. Again, tuition paid. Found out that boat doesn't leave Houston for Reykjavik very often. And most of them aren't ready for a box that big. Yeah. And then we also found out on the other side that there was only one crane in Iceland big enough to pick up our units. So they had to take it from the shipyard to the data center site. We learned all sorts of fun stuff on that. It's a really cool one to say we did. I can tell you we would take a different approach on the next one. That's for sure.
Well, you know what? It's funny you keep saying tuition, right? My grandfather always said an education costs money.
That's right.
You can either go to trade school and learn the trade and work with somebody, or you can go out there and figure it out on your own, and you're going to get your ass handed to you. But either way, you're going to pay to learn.
But the key there is you're going to learn.
Right.
And that's the funny, a line I heard a long time ago is you can't teach people foresight.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to learn on your own. And as a guy who prides myself on being relatively smart, it's very humbling every day to find out how smart you're not.
Every day. I speak with the smartest people around the world, like yourself, doing amazing things that I'm the guy you give a spreadsheet and I roll over and turn into a possum. I freeze, oh God, no, that's why I do video. But the reality of it is, listen, you got to put in your time. The 10,000 hours thing is very, very true. But when you're in a business like yours, in a world that is ever changing, power's changing, electrical to low voltage to what you guys are doing. R&D, what is your biggest hurdle with R&D? Like, what are you trying to keep up with? What is changing so fast that you guys are always having to adjust and figure out better solutions moving forward?
Yeah, I mean the thing that I always say there, and it's one that we're constantly trying to figure out, is in the world of hyperscale data centers or in data center construction, is you've got 4 or 5 major customers, and we all have the same 4 or 5 major customers, whether you're working for them directly or you're working for a colo or anybody else. And the thing about those customers is they've got a lot of really smart people. And they invest heavily. You saw in the news probably this week that Meta and Mark Zuckerberg is offering $100 million bonuses to AI experts to come join Meta, pulling them from all over the world.
$100 million.
$100 million. Yeah, I highly recommend. Yeah, go become a world's foremost expert in AI. It'll be lucrative. But that being said, I mean, these companies are investing so much, and they're pushing so hard that we're just constantly trying to keep up with the curve. I mentioned earlier that one of the hyperscalers produced a 1 megawatt rack. So that's the amount of power that could power about 1,000 homes. Sorry, about 100 homes. But they've got that in a 2-foot by 6-foot enclosure. So, or metal box. So when they're moving as fast as they are, what do we do to keep up? How do we make sure that we know where they're headed, and how do we make sure we have the right relationships with folks so that they include us as part of the solution? R&D is, for the research side of what we do, is exactly that. Just try to get as far ahead of these guys as possible, which is an impossible task.
Yeah.
And so it's working with them and saying, include us for the solution, because we're going to be the ones that end up touching it anyway. So let's figure out how to get the solution that's right for you. This is how we figured out how to get, subfloor direct to chip cooling into a data floor skid. We're working with immersion technology. We're working with all sorts of things on the cooling front. And then we're also starting to try to get ahead of the DC front. That I think that's going to be the next kind of the next frontier. Instead of 415 or 600 volt AC distribution to the rack, you're going to start seeing DC, high voltage DC or relatively high voltage DC, because that's where the efficiencies are going to lie. And we got to start figuring that out too, because that's not where the US is right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Ryan, was there anything else in that presentation you wanted to flash up on the screen?
Let's take why don't you pop the slideshow up real quick? I want to just
that's up there for you.
One more thing.
You have it on your side? Looks like
I don't.
Hold on one second. Looks like you might be freezing up on me, or there's a little bit of a lag. Let me add it, re-add it back in. How about now?
No, I still have the website up, but I'll speak to it. We also have a UL 508A panel shop that does a lot with industrial controls and automation. That happens under the integrated manufacturing umbrella. There's a lot of cool stuff that group is working with right now. The modern factory, a lot of automation and robotics designs that we're helping work with. We've got a handful of controls engineers, and we've got some just brilliant guys working on that front. So I just wanted to take a second to give it a quick pitch that we are far beyond just data centers and healthcare. This is the factory of the future, and we can do a lot there to help support that as well.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm going to put that factory video up there. Why don't you walk us through what we're looking at here?
Yeah. So that's the outside view of our relatively new factory. You kind of saw an image there of what we're doing. And I'll just kind of walk you through how we do things. We bring in an enclosure on top of a skid. We use our cranes, we separate them. And then we start doing the in-skid integration of the major electrical switchgear, while we're also working inside the white box that you saw there to get the cooling equipment and all the overhead. We do that simultaneously. Moves really fast. We've taken what should take 6 to 8 weeks. We can build them significantly faster than that. I'm not going to throw the real number out, because my operations team will kill me.
You're using cold form steel? Is that what you're doing? LGS? These are all built out of steel?
Yeah, those are all steel enclosures. We've done stainless steel. We've done, but typically cold rolled steel, powder coated to whatever color you want, and then we
Yeah.
we
Why
started.
why stainless steel? Just for corrosion purposes, being outside?
Yeah, that's been a customer requirement on a few different jobs,
Yeah.
and that can be across whether it be a wastewater site, rail for whatever reason likes to have a stainless steel
Right.
enclosure. So we've done a few other things
Yeah,
there.
I love it. Love it. Well, I got those slides working back up here again if you wanted to show anything there, but
Yeah, that's just a couple of different drive panels and control panels that we've got images of there. We do have a new website that's launching in the next few weeks that'll have a whole lot more material to tell you about us that we'll happily share, and I'll send over to you once we're ready to launch.
I love it. I love it. All right, Ryan, what haven't I mentioned? We talked about your awesome products, your amazing growth, to 500 million this year, 600 million. I mean, $100 million a year gross, no matter how you say it, is pretty damn cool, right?
It is kind of crazy. Yeah, I like to. I just think back. We had this conversation the other day that there was a time not long ago when we would sell a job across Cummings Electrical for $10 million, and it would be like, stop the company, let's figure out how we're going to do this, and that just right now, kind of like I said, we'd be looking for anything outside the data center market. Company wide, we are looking for jobs that aren't $10 million. And that's just a crazy thing.
Right.
We used to run, we were built on $2 to $3 million jobs.
Right.
And now we're anywhere from $70 to $200 million for an individual project. The first year I was at Cummings, we did $60 million, and we did that, I think, our first year of integrated manufacturing. So it's just, the growth has been crazy. This industry has been absolutely phenomenal. I will take a second to kind of pitch the opportunities in the industry. You and I, Dave, are probably relatively similar in age, and we probably grew up hearing that the skilled trades are not where it's at. And let me tell you, as somebody who has an ultra useful liberal arts degree that I use every day because I can identify where a comma is supposed to go, and that's about it. The skilled trades are where it's at. We've got folks that we're paying great money. They're putting together one hell of a lifestyle for themselves, and the opportunities are just endless. There's a bunch of folks that are retiring out, and the talent vacuum that is happening in our industry is insane. So if you got folks that are looking for an opportunity to grow, Cummings Electrical, I will tell you, is the best one there is. But if you're in California or if you're in Connecticut, push your kids to skilled trades. There are huge opportunities. It's not just about shovel work, but that's really important too. There's just a lot that goes into what we do, and the opportunities are endless.
Hey, and listen, I put your website up here with join our team, right? You can view the career opportunities there. So, what's fun about this, man, is when you actually have one of the leaders in the company, one of the partners of the company, excited to talk about how cool it is to work there.
Yeah.
You don't get that very often, right? And I think that you can hear it in your voice.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I think that's super powerful. And you're right, the trades are where it's at. Even we have twin 17-year-old daughters, and they're getting ready to graduate high school next year, and we have been talking to them about the trades. I have one daughter that's thinking about going to welding school.
Love it. Yeah, we've got a handful of welders right now. We're constantly looking for more.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, it is just the world has changed. I'm talking about the passion and the fun. I was talking to my wife about this the other day. I mentioned early that our plan was to be here for 3 years.
Yeah.
And here we are 17 years later and we're not going anywhere.
Right.
This company and this industry has been so good to me. It's been so good to my family. I've got kids that want to join the trades. I've got kids that want to help me around the house. They're interested in what I do, and it's a whole lot easier than saying, or a whole lot cooler than saying, I sit in a desk and type emails all day, even though that's a bigger piece of my day than I'd like it to be.
Right.
It's a cool, fun place to be, and I just appreciate the chance to talk about what we do.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I got a question that came in from Peter D. Maria here.
Yeah.
It's a lot to read. So basically he's asking, does Cummings provide kitting for multifamily residential type buildings? Mid-rise modular is always interested in the most efficient and forward thinking MEP providers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do. Again, little ancient history. So there was a push in Dallas handful of years ago for adaptive reuse. So taking old, if you look at that multifamily section, taking old office buildings or anything else and turn it into apartments and condos. We figured out a lot of systems there to help make the electrical system run a lot more efficiently. We have a proprietary distribution stack that we can put in. We have not applied it to stick built or wood framed residential, but it's something that we absolutely could do, and we got a lot of interest in. We have done this over and over and over again. It's kind of that same pitch that I gave on why to do e-houses is another reason why to bring us in on this, because we can speed you up a ton by using our proprietary distribution system. So to answer your customer or the question, the answer is yes. We can do that. Would love to talk to you about how we could help you guys solve your problems there.
Peter DeMaria, architect from Los Angeles, California. He'd definitely be a good person for you to know. 100%. Hey, Greg Ugaldi's on as well. Hey, Greg. He says Ryan is referring to there is no substitute for School of Hard Knocks. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. That's a cooler way to say we paid tuition on that. That's for sure.
Yeah, Greg is the past chair of the National Association of Home Builders 2 years in a row. So plays at a very high level. Greg, always love it when you join us here. All right, Ryan, I know your time is valuable, and we're over on time here as well. Any last words that you'd like to put out there or share?
The last words I'll give you is have fun at work. Surround yourself by awesome people. Hopefully you'll be as lucky as I am to work at a place that you love every day. Really appreciate the time, Dave. Love being able to talk about what Cummings does, and hope we get to speak again. Like I said, we got a new website that's coming up, and I look forward to talking to you again. We've got 2-3 times the square footage as well.
Yeah, and listen, this website's pretty good as well. And I want to put
I know the guys that built that one, and this next one's a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, well, you won't. The next one won't be you doing it on a fly fishing boat somewhere in Montana, right? You have better.
It's not built by me.
Yeah, but listen, everybody. One of the things we're always proud to do here is when people are hiring, people need jobs. Sounds like an awesome place to work. Texas is an awesome place to live. I do like it. I do like the big sky. Is that what they call it, big skies in Texas? I don't know. I think Montana might be big skies too.
Montana's the big sky state, so you're hitting at my heartstrings, but
right. Yeah. But listen, so if you're out there,
skies are big here too, man.
They are. I mean, the sunsets are amazing in both places. So,
that's right.
All right, Ryan, listen, man, don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you after the outro. For the rest of you out there, listen. Hey, we'd love to have your support. If you want to join Dave Cooper Live and you want your name out there and you want to help us continue to bring all of these informative information, and if you've been on our show and you find value in what we do, we'd love to have you as a member as well. So just reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about all the different fun things we can do. Thanks, everybody. It is Wednesday. Ryan, you know what the best part about Wednesday is?
What's that?
People, you still got 2.5 days to keep building it better. The week's not over yet.
That's right.
We can keep rocking and rolling here. So, all right, everybody, listen, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Dave Cooper, Ryan Windham. Make sure you check out Cummings Electrical. They are moving this world forward. And by the way, powering some of your lights and that AI you're using. So stay tuned. We'll see you on Monday. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you, and as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.